How do we come into relationship with God? How do we do that? Do we come and just believe? How do we believe if we don't know what we're believing in? In Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths." When it says trust in the Lord, it's talking about a relationship that you have already established with him. And a relationship is always based on trust. And it's reciprocal and it's on both sides. And you are developing this relationship. That's what we're supposed to be doing in our walk with God, in our relationship with God. And we can do this in many, many different ways. But when it comes to the Bible, for some reason, it's like we just shut everything down as if we're robots and we just read the Bible. We don't really think through it because the second part of that verse, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. This lean not on your own understanding. And a lot of fundamental and evangelical circles, I think Christians think that that means, we can't trust ourselves. We can't trust, our intellect and how we process and gather information and how we investigate things. That's not what the Bible is saying. The Bible is saying you're doing this relationship with God. And of course, because God is beyond all, it's hard to understand all of his ways. But with the little that you know, continue to walk in that and trust in that relationship because it's been a very good relationship. And as you are entering into this kind of trusting relationship, your trust should grow throughout time. Like in any other kind of relationship, that should grow, right? And there are ups and downs, and it's not just, stagnant and the same. And so trusting in the Lord is this relationship-based model. It's not a fear-based model. And it has nothing to do with, hey, just shut your brain off and don't even think about, studying the Bible or investigating the Bible. It has nothing to do with that. If anything, you should be, because it's in that process that God actually comes into your life, into your mind, into your mindset, and he begins to, walk you through it and begins to work through you. So investigating and reading and studying and understanding the historical analysis and the cultural background and the ancient Near East and all the new data and the information and the sources that are coming out now, my goodness, that is something you should be doing, because this trust in the Lord, trust in God, goes hand in hand with us, learning and asking questions and being with Father and, like a father and a child, like a teacher and a student. This is what should be happening in our relationship so that that trust can be even more deeper and endearing. And in that, God, through his Spirit, begins to send you sources, send you people, send different events and situations in your life that actually show you who he is. He doesn't have to magically appear before our eyes for us to believe in him. No, because he is spirit and he is truth. Those things should resonate within us to really ground us to that essence and to that being of knowing who he is, of love, of trust, of faith, right? So that we can begin to develop even more through that trusting relationship. Because if you don't have trust, you don't have any relationship. We cannot base our relationship with God just on a set and a bag of doctrinal, historical, in Christendom anyway, historically, how the doctrines have been set in stone. And no one can question it. No one can actually go back and say, why do we believe in this when the Bible doesn't say that, right? That's a legitimate question. That's a good question. That is what God's children should be doing, if anything at all, right? They should be asking these kinds of questions when there's discrepancies and we don't have the new data back then. We didn't have it back then. We have it now. And that's why this is a continual process, a continual journey of asking different questions, new questions, and that it's totally okay, because if that trust relationship is already built, it's only going to get better and better and better. So do I have faith in God? I don't know if I can even talk that way anymore. I've come to such different places and just really expanded and thought through all of these things. And I'm at a very different place now than I was, like just even a year ago. And so, my grounding with God is that trust that He and I have developed since I was 6 years old. And I've been walking with the Lord ever since. Never left His side. He's never left my side. So it's always been on this trusting path, not necessarily like a faith, a doctrinal belief system. It hasn't been that. And we're trying to move people into that relationship model because that is where love-based model is. It's not based on a religion and it's not fear-based. That's where you have legalism. That's where you have, no, it must be this way. It's very dogmatic because people now are wanting to hold on to something that they feel like should never be questioned. But I'm telling you, if people are being honest and open and are accessible, there should be no problems with asking them questions. In like manner, God has no problems with us asking questions, especially when there's a lot of confusion or there's just not much clarity or there's a lot of cognitive dissonance in the things that, we were taught, growing up, what the Bible was saying. And now as adults, we're no longer children. And we can ask these kinds of questions because that trust is still there and it's always going to be there, right? Because why? It's based on a relationship. And that's what we're supposed to be doing with God. We're supposed to be in a relationship, not a religion.